The devil, a term which is rarely used outside religion, but many people will conduct themselves in maybe the eyes of many other people observing these individuals as servants of the devil. But they themselves will always view themselves as humble and meek, and have not changed in any way from the beginning until present. Who and what am I referring to? Well, the devil teaches abortion is okay. The devil also teaches that life is not sacred, it has no meaning, it has no value, it has no price, it's cheap. So, if you belong to a religious organisation and for 50, 60 years you have professed that life is sacred, abortion is a sin against God, and suicide is also a sin against God. But now, as you're getting older and your voice is becoming as less important as rotten, decaying human urine and lumps of slimy, crusty feces in a human latrine, you have decided to all of a sudden declare that life is no longer sacred, life is not important, it doesn't have a price. So in fact, by conducting yourself the opposite of the teachings you first declared on behalf of your Messiah, your Christ, and your God, you have now walked and you have continued to walking in the darkness, and your new God is the devil. Who am I talking about? I won't mention names. I'll let you, the listener, whoever you may be, from whatever country or belief system you belong to, or philosophy that you read and adhere to. An Anglican bishop have now stated that assisted death should be permitted. For many years, 40, 50 years, he has declared the teachings of God, his Christ, footstep follower and the Messiah. Now he's completely contradicting himself. But why has he taken this path? Why is he now proclaiming that assisted death is okay and God would look at it from a compassionate point of view and say, yes, that's okay? Would you introduce this individual to your mother and father? If you did, then obviously you're a dickhead. I wouldn't. I'd introduce him to a great white shark because he's a hypocrite. And those people who act like multiple personality actors on the stage of life itself have no value. Rats have value, they do not. Human feces and animal waste have a value, and it's worth money because farmers in general use it to fertilise their land to produce crops that they can sell and obtain money from it. But this Anglican bishop, who writes for a British newspaper, is not only writing for the newspaper, which means he's also a bottom feeder. No matter what he says, he has now been seduced by the devil. Yes, very much so. In his eyes, abortion is okay. Excuse me, abortion is not okay. Because why kill the unborn? Because of what the mother or the father has done. But this person, let's focus on this individual. Oh, by the way, he's from Africa. Say no more, John. Say no more, John. So all these years he has proclaimed God as a righteous, loving God and a forgiving God. He proclaims the goodness of a recent black Prime Minister who is extremely famous for being locked up in a prison on Robben Island for 27 years. I never knew the guy, but I wouldn't sit down and have fish and chips with the guy if he was alive at the time. Because when people get into power, their morality changes. They may strive in the early days of changing many things. But how many shanty towns are still in South Africa? How many children live next to sewers when he lived in a palace? At the end of days, never once did I hear him condemn Mugabe's regime of a bunch of sociopath sadists running around with that lot of hatchets and meat cleavers. So, not to drift too far from the purpose of this audio, as I am S.V. Dagan, this African Anglican bishop is a servant of the devil. So, is he part of the Antichrist creed or an offspring of vipers? I'll let you, the listener, decide. In my opinion, he is a member of the Antichrist creed because he chose to become immoral. He chose to raise his little head out of his ass without cleaning his mouth, because the crap that he's spewing out is shit. And it's worthless shit. Because by serving the devil, he has turned his back on God. The same God he got involved with when he was a young man, that he's been preaching and declaring the good news for 40, 50 years. And now he is becoming old and decrepit and having the kind of morals that a toilet crab has. Not to insult the toilet crab too much. He has become the blind leading the blind. To say to someone, yes, it's a good thing that you can be legally murdered by lethal injection or a doctor assisting you to take a life-threatening pill instead of laying down on the train tracks and being splattered. Because in my opinion, assisted death is legal. If someone wants to commit suicide, they should be locked up in a mental institution because it's not normal. But if you want to commit suicide, why shout about it? Why say to your wife, darling, you loved me for all these years, be married for all these years. If you really loved me, you'd help me to die. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine hearing that from your husband that you've loved and your best friend for years, and he now turned to her and said, well, darling, if you really loved me, you would help me die. But from her point of view, can you imagine it? Utter bastard. Yeah, mate, I'll help you die. I'll put some arsenic, rat poison, in your coffee over a period of time. By the time you realise it, it'll be too late, you'll be dead. But she cannot be tried for murder because she's got written paper that says he wanted her to help him die. It's been legalised. If the British Lords have their way, and of course George Carey, another hypocrite, had his way, it was also declaring that life is no longer sacred. So if you are the individual that views abortions okay and life has no meaning, no value, has no price, then you must, in a sense, be categorized as a servant of the devil. Someone who obviously bathes in their own vomit, or licks the anal passages of donkeys and mules and asses. And you are the tree that produces no fruit of any value whatsoever, and you should be cut down and thrown in the fire. So what are you? If you assist legalised murder, then obviously you're either the Antichrist creed or the offspring. You decide. You, the listeners, you decide. I've already decided. There is one name I mentioned in here, and there's other names I haven't mentioned in here. But at the end of the day, it's irrelevant what names I do choose to use and what names I withhold. Depends on what your terminology or phrase is. So, are you the Antichrist, Anglican Bishop of Africa? As there must be many, but as you're listening to this audio, which I doubt you are, you can decide. As I am SV Dagon, and this is called The Devil, Act 1. Take care, watch out, you may experience nightmares, and who knows, I may be causing them.